Jack the Ripper versus Monsoon and Jetstream Sam and Striker and Striker and Striker.
Now, Raiden, isn't this all a bit much? Any decent lunatic would have quit after Mexico.
Jetstream Sam.
I heard you chopped the lab director in half. Old habits die hard, eh, Jack? But now here you are, the child soldier, fighting for the children. Please, what do you really expect to accomplish here? Play savior to a bunch of brains? And what? Earn a medal? Think about it, Jack. No matter how many Mexican kids we got, or Africans we bury, the first world looks away. No one gives a shit. Not the media, not the politicians, certainly not the average Joe. Too busy fretting for money, or sex, religion, fame.
Okay, so you may be wondering why I'm including this part in the fight video. Well, that's because I think that, personally, it is an incredibly important part of said fight, and moreover, the story so far.
You're a man on a mission, aren't you? Gonna fix everything. Just you and your little sword there. Solve everything with violence. Is that it?
You may be wondering why I'm not talking during this. Well, I think that because of its plot importance, it is actually sacrosanct and should be viewed unadulterated by me.
Really? Let me ask you. All those cyborgs you've killed up to now, maybe they weren't kids, but they were people. You ever think about them? When you're chopping them into hamburger?
They're adults. They made their choice.
Sure they're adults. Sure they signed up for this. Right on the dotted line of their BMC contract. Usually they're no strangers to war. In fact, many times they already lost a limb or two. Many times they were out of work and starving on the street. So yes, they sign up for surgery to fight God knows where. How else would you provide for your family when your country's embroiled in civil war? Pain receptors shut down, pumped full of fear-inhibiting nanomachines and sent right into the blender? Your blender? But they made their choice, right? Open your eye and see, Raiden.
I've seen plenty.
Then listen. Those battlefield emotions that the nanos suppress. Listen to them.
What are you talking about?
Shh.
There he is! Kill him!
Can we take him?
What's wrong?
The way he killed all the others? Oh God. Please God, don't let me die.
Let's do this!
I have a family! This isn't fair.
Little punk!
Listen closely now.
Die!
This life! I watched my wife and son die. This is all I had left.
You ain't shit!
Goddamn IED took my leg. I needed a job.
Stop!
I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Is something the matter, Raiden?
I've nearly saved enough to bring Mama to the States.
Finish him off!
Whatever it takes to be free of this torture.
Stop it!
Now, while I chop everyone into tiny pieces, I'm going to try and explain my feelings about this, because it's actually starting to get to him. This is how you do character development. I don't care who you ask, this is true as shit. Why? Because they fucking do it up. They don't cut it down, they show every little bit of it, And they show it competently. You can comprehend the morals behind it because they're human beings. I mean, listen to this shit. Oh wait, I killed everybody.
There's no reason for me to be here.
It's insane how emotionally visceral this is the only way that I could possibly explain it.
Raiden, are you injured?
I thought they had a choice. A fair choice. Not like you.
People are different.
As opposed to AIs? You're all the same, huh? You and your brothers. Manipulating mankind for our own good.
It appears my statement has upset you. I apologize.
See, it's actually getting to Raiden.
I know you're
and you're
right.
gonna see that it gets to him
As
in a
for
very
AIs,
big
we
way
adapt
later
as
on.
we learn. Just as any intellect operates, man or machine, altering the course of mankind is not among my defined directives.
I guess that's a relief.
Samuel's behavior does not match established parameters.
You know him?
Affirmative. We served together on 3 previous missions. He proved most capable.
You think highly of him?
I have always found him dependable. Until now. Scouting data for the next area.
And this is all coming from Jetstream Sam, by the way, which is going to be very important in the later bits of this. Mostly because I've already spoiled that up till now. This is the guy who was set up by the game as our rival character.
Raiden, your current emotional state appears highly volatile. I am sure you do not intend to abort the mission, but I suggest you avoid combat for the time being.
Incredibly important in plot and in Raiden's characterization. It shows him that he's not all-powerful and can take on every foe. See, look at this. I'm not altering anything. This is just what the game allows you to do. Walk slowly and not attack. This is a forced stealth mission. Although it's only a connecting bit, which is a saving grace, thank God. It's not too long, so I included it as well. I mean, look at that. Look, he's holding his head. He's so depressed. The effect on gameplay is truly what just gives this moment its total perfection package. Because you can have a great story, but if it affects gameplay as well, then fucking hell, you have hit all the marks that you needed to. Because it connects to the player itself on the most intimate level between player-character and actual player. Well, we're here, so next cutscene means that we can actually get into the boss fight stuff itself. I hope you enjoyed this, because I certainly did. Well, yeah, even if you were working for a country, that would still be the case. Not knowing what you're in for, stated like this, is rarely a competent excuse.
Nice try.
That guy actually wants to help rebuild the Civil War country that it destroyed.
Not so black and white now.
There he is.
Just? Or is that just what you tell yourself? Fuck you.
Just fuck you, huh? Nothing more deep than that.
How pleased you are to chop away, Jack the Ripper.
Oh, and now we get to the major problem of this fight.
My name is Monsoon.
This guy!
Of the winds of
His second sentence. He has to introduce himself to the plot.
I guessed as much.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I mean, look at this guy. Great character design. That's actually the astounding part of this guy. Other than that, he's got Desperado literally tattooed on his shoulder.
Feasting on the insides of your enemies?
Continuing from Jetstream Sam's
How
philosophy.
easily you ignore the loss of life when it suits your convenience. So tell me, who saves the weak from the man who saves the weak?
I guess the connection
one
isn't as
exploiting
contrived as they
You
could
take
have made
advantage of
it,
their weakness.
but definitely not perfect.
Of course they get hurt when you set them up as your human shield. Kill or be killed, Jack.
Yeah, that's the main philosophy of this guy's personality.
Now, taught me that.
Kill or be killed. Perfect way of stating
You
it.
aren't the only one to grow up with children. War is a cruel parent, but an effective teacher.
See, at this point, I kind of just disregarded everything he said it because I kind of got the gist from that one sentence. See, he's just being philosophical and all that great stuff. I mean, he has to take apart the world in his own introspective way. He calls DNA memes for some reason.
They are everything we pass on.
I don't know why, but these guys seem really keen on getting Guns of the Patriots back.
They become a carrier. Envy, greed, despair.
See, they become a carrier of the human condition.
How about a little shit?
Yeah, we can't avoid being human. And this is why I was looking at everyone else, because I knew there was going to be an Easter egg on one of these guys. And I found it. One of them actually looks at a cat and acts like a dog. Which means that his nanomachine's probably short out or something. Yeah, I literally stopped listening to this guy a while ago just to stare at the guy who's dancing over there and the guy who was looking at a cat over here. But again, we know the gist of this guy.
Don't be ashamed. It's only nature running its course.
Survival of the fittest character,
You have
right
no
there.
choices to make, nothing to answer for.
Then why are you questioning literally every part of his characterization in this
You
game?
can die with a clear conscience.
Oh, fuck off, you philosophical bastard.
You're right.
God, he got such a dark view
About
on the
me,
world, it's
I mean.
ridiculous.
I knew something was off after the Patriots.
And
I
this
thought I could walk
is
off the
the thing.
battlefield
This is the thing you
into a
need
normal
when you go
life.
through a segment like this
But
to
here
have
I
it
am,
pay off.
surrounded by death,
You need
arguing
to have the
philosophy with
character
terrorists.
change
I told myself
in
this
his
was
behavior.
about justice, about protecting the weak, but I was wrong.
Here it is.
Then you admit it.
I learned young that killing your enemies felt good. Really good. In America, my friends, my family, they helped me forget the devil inside. But who am I kidding? I was born to kill! The bit about my sword, that means of justice stuff, I guess I needed something to keep the Ripper in check when I was knee-deep in bodies.
You?
But you, all this, is a wake-up call to what I really believe. What I really am.
What do you say?
I'm saying Jack is back.
Here it is. The transformation. The pinnacle of character development starts here.
Doctor, turn off my pain inhibitors.
What? This is madness. You
Do it!
Imagine what this sequence would have looked like if Doctor just said no. Yeah, pain fuels his superpowers. It fuels his cruelty.
This is
And it is the only reason he's turned to war. Turns him into some sort of blood-raged monster.
This is my normal. My nature.
You've lost your mind.
Best sentence of this entire segment. Right there. That is simple comedy at its best. Kill people as sadistically as possible because he's Jack the Ripper. This is what he's been hiding from literally the entire audience ever since his first appearance in Metal Gear Solid 2.
No, Sam. Report back to the chief. He's mine.
You're the boss.
I misjudged you. You are like us after all.
Now you're just being nasty.
Yeah, he's too strong to be compared to you.
That nickname you love so much. Wanna know how I got it? Actually, why don't I give you a demonstration? I think it's time for Jack to let her rip.
Quick cut. And now we see the main problem of this fight. The fact that the transformation to Jack the Ripper was actually required of the fight. It's nothing additional on top of an extra boss fight you could have fought as Raiden. No, it had to be here. Because if it wasn't, it would have been tearing apart in 5 fucking seconds. Just like I'm being right here. And for some reason I was able to parry 7 of his attacks. But in the Jetstream Sam fight, I couldn't parry 3. I mean, admit it, it does look fluid and it still looks cool. But for the love of God, you're gonna spend 60% of this fight being flat on your ass, getting stabbed to death by him. And why? Because the game gives you so much freaking health just so it can enjoy what it's made here. This fight is so completely broken that it borders on complete insanity. There is no reason for this guy to be this OP, because we're Jack the fucking Ripper. We could have had a good short fight encasing his complete craziness and insanity in story concrete, but instead we have to actually use them to do all this shit against the boss who can rip shit apart like the fucking Roadrunner if he was a hedgehog. And now one of the scripted parts of the fight, the required one, here we are. Of course it's incredibly easy, it has to juxtaposition itself against Monsoon. I have no idea why he says that. It is pointless. It's bafflingly pointless. Thank God this game has a lock-on system. Because if it didn't, then it would have been terrible. For the love of God, did the weakness weapon have to be this shit? You're only gonna hit him if you're getting lucky. And there you just saw the main problem with being Jack the Ripper. The only difference in combat is that you have infinite blade mode. Did you see blade mode even making a freaking difference in fighting this guy? No, I'm still dealing with this, being stabbed in the ass. Oh, and this, his legs and his arms become different combatants whenever he feels like it. Let's talk about what all the pain revolves around. what this fight centers on and why it's such a broken mess. It's because of this game's concept. This guy's main gimmick is magnetism, which means he's allowed to do this twice. Which means he's allowed to do the unthinkable. Feint through all of your attacks. If you try to strike him when he's not dazed, he will do this. When you strike him when he is dazed, he will retaliate. It is such an incredible fucking disaster that I can barely even put it into words. I can't even dodge his attack, because what's our defense? Parrying. And what can I do when I'm parrying? I have to parry towards him. What can I do against that if he pops in 5 feet from me in random directions? Oh, and then I get stabbed in the back again. Nice. He's able to feint through 99% of your attacks, which is an incredibly broken mess that has no right to exist. Why? Because it ties the combat to a random number generator. It is one of the stupidest things you can do in fight design, and it is a complete disaster every time you do it. Look at the boss that I did a while ago. That was a disaster. This is an even bigger disaster, because of how brokenly fast he is. I'm going to compare him to Jasper Bad Jr., his second phase, which is one of the most broken things in the history of video games. See, that tornado attack that he just did, that's him getting soft on you in order to continue this fight because you survived the appropriate amount of time. This is the only attack that gets his head open into the combat, the only time that you can actually hit it and do this. Let the rage go out. Just let it go out, because it fucking deserves it. Because he can do that, and then this, and then the entire shebang, because he's so broken. I can barely believe that this guy is even a thing, especially when they pull out all the stops to introduce Jack the Ripper. Are you kidding me? That is a stupid idea on top of a great idea, your best idea. Why would you do this to people? Why? You know what you could have done? You could have had a fight as fair as the Grodd battle that we just had. No, we have to fight Monsoon, who does this shit in order to balance the fight. Why is he doing this? He has to literally balance out the fight because the plot says so. He's that broken. The game makers know that he's that broken, and the players too, just to have that make sense. They know that this is so broken, which is why they added this as an afterthought. Are you kidding me? This is... I can barely even look at it. I have to look at it because I'm doing the scripting for it right in front of you so that it makes sense. But this is almost inexcusable. I can get that he wants to be overpowered. I can understand that he wants to have a gimmick. I can understand that a person's weakness weapon isn't the most intuitive thing to ever use. I'm sure the Hyper Bomb from Mega Man, which is going to be a great comparison because I've actually played that game, is a great example, and probably the weakness weapon to somebody. I just haven't figured out who yet. But this guy is never going to be a good comparison because he combines literally all the problems. His only redeeming factor is the fact that he literally throws rations. See, did you see that? My RP grenade bounced off of him. Last time, it exploded on contact. Oh, was that just an afterthought that you thought was funny? That you want to beat the player into the ground just because you thought it was entertaining? Or did you just want to build Monsoon as a crazy bastard as top of being an awesome combatant? See, Jetstream Sam can get away with that because he is an epic combatant. We've seen his power. We've seen what he's able to do. We've seen him kick our ass. He's allowed to be overpowered. This guy jumps into the freaking place out of bloody nowhere, and he's only able to be hit when a random number generator says that you can hit him. But did you see what I did to break him out of his magnetized stance last time? I randomly ran in there with a sliding tackle. Randomness. It doesn't work. Oh, and then this bit. This bit is great. This bit has no rationalization to anything because it is the most easily dodged boulder in the history of the universe. Just run in one direction away from it. Your only damage to this thing is going to be if you're an idiot, or if you get hit by all that debris it's flying off. That's not broken, that's just the thing that it does. It's annoying, but it's not broken. This is an annoying waste of time that hit me somehow after it's just stopped. 5 seconds after it stops, it somehow hits me, with the aftershock of it actually hitting me. Oh, and then the music gets into it. He's in the Magnetized stance for one of his final times, and he said he won the battle. Why? Because he does this shit all the time. This is the shittiest battle of the game. And for a completely unjustified reason. Jetstream Sam's fight was bad because it's a forced failure battle, and forced failure doesn't work. This could have worked if you wouldn't have made it so freaking overpowered that it has to provide itself health rations just because it's so crazy overpowered. And the anime superpower that you give us is completely useless against it. Why even get to this? I have a strong feeling that we're never going to see that power again, ever used. I have a strong feeling about that. Why would I ever need infinite blade mode? It almost never comes into actual combat unless it's at scripted parts with the blue screens. Blade mode puts you at a huge disadvantage to actual combat because it makes you stand still. It just boggles the mind why this exists. Why does Monsoon exist? He had no plot relevance, ever. They never made it a rule that there were 3 winds of destruction. We could have had Mistral and Jetstream Sam. And, you know, count Sundowner as one, even though Sundown is not a freaking wind term. We don't need a wind term just to have continuity against something that doesn't exist. I have nothing more else to say about this guy being so incredibly overpowered because the freaking developers knew it. That's what Platinum Games does. It makes these crazy anime type douchebags, and then makes them overpowered, and then it's just completely unfair about it, and it knows that. That's why it does this! Because this has no offensive capability, because it gives you a free blade mode against it. Seriously, look at it. Why else would this exist? This isn't smart, this isn't painful, it's completely outside the characterization of Monsoon for the 5 minutes that he was able to be characterized. He is a dark, philosophical bastard who only wants to make sure that the theory of survival of the fittest actually gets into context. And, you know, dollar for dollar, I'm pretty sure that he would have kicked Ryan's ass canonically because of how broken he is. If the plot allowed him to be smart, he would have kicked his ass. If he hadn't gone into Jack Burger mode, he probably would have died repeatedly, and then died just for real. Plot reasons. See, look at that. Do I have a dodge roll? No, I don't. I can't dodge this. That's how unfair he is. He throws all these crappy attacks at you that you can't dodge because you can't get at him enough in order to dodge. You can't parry a freaking tornado being thrown at you, and then you get dazed, and then hit again, and then you get freaking 4 times again because he has ridiculous combos. If this is going to be a theme throughout the rest of the late game bosses, then they're all going to suck. They're literally all gonna suck. I hope that the Jetstream Sam fight doesn't suck, because they set him up correctly. Are you kidding me? They set him up like they did Anchor in Mega Man 5. That is amazing. Because, do you think rivals can be done? Like that one Tails guy, Ash's clone, I can't think off the top of my head. But do you think that can happen all the time? No. Pokemon proves that wrong all the time. Yes, I'm going after Pokemon, because Pokemon rivals are freaking stupid. In the anime, they made sense. In-game, they are a bunch of morons who don't understand what rivalry actually means. They mean that you are a recurring enemy of the guy, and not actually a friend that you battle all the time. That is not what a rival is. A rival is a person like Jetstream Sam who's on the opposite side of the tracks and gunning for your fucking head. See, I was an idiot and I ran into the wall. So, yeah, I'm going after Pokemon because I'm sure that after Gen 3, they just did not understand the concept anymore. Basically, the fight's over at this point. Monsoon levitates a stone spire for some reason. I don't know why. I don't assume why you'd make a spire in the middle of a town hall. Metal. Okay, a quick cut because I died. But, you know, quick time event, and we're just gonna go for it. Why? Because we jumped on missiles before, twice. We can kick this guy's ass, no problem, because the game's just gonna let us. See, quick time event, we slam him into a wall, and then kick him in the face. And somehow, cutting him into smaller giblets actually hurts him. Yeah, logic, because that's totally how this works. Yeah, we slice off his head for real. Just like that Billy and Mandy episode where Grim actually gets his head cut off with his scythe because magic. Now for an ending cutscene just like Mistral. He has a final radio message while his body is dying.
Or be killed.
Wow, he's actually crying.
It's only nature running its course.
Wait, are you having an argument about the survival of the fittest with yourself?
No, I passed one to you.
Yeah, you did. The only reason you existed, just to get the Jack the Ripper mode.
The slaughter.
Pathetic analogies that don't matter because Monsoon is literally dead and not going to come back to life.
I return to the earth.
No, because your body is made of magnets, it's not going to rot.
Rain falls. The strong pray.
You know what? One of the most correct things you have ever said. Whoever is in power is going to impress the person who isn't. Thank God he shut up. Oh, I can go into Ripper mode in the VR missions. That's great. I'm sure I'll use that plenty. Am I actually getting a codec message?
Raiden?
I quit your stupid PMC
fine, Captain.
just so I could take on World Marshal. Why are you calling me?
Brains.
Wait, Kevin still cares about your stupid mission that you self-appointed to you?
For anyone else.
See, that's what I have worried, because if Jack the Ripper is going to go away for the rest of the story, then there was no semblance for him to actually exist. It's ridiculous. Okay, now we get a tower cutaway shot. Perfect. And that's it. It's a huge loss to any game when they decide to just give you out of nowhere anime superpowers, but at the same time pit you up against an enemy who requires that to exist in order to kill them. What the hell was the point of doing that, I ask you? Stew over that for a sec while I set the scores up. Gameplay. Yes, before this fight, Raiden is granted crazy superpowers when he regressed to Jack the Ripper, which allows his blade mode to be infinite, which would have been useful, pending we'd actually get to use it because Monsoon is fast as shit. And if you want to go into blade mode throughout most of this fight, you'd have only about 3 seconds to point at him before he smacked you out of the stance and back into the actual combat. Monsoon's combat is hell-bent on dealing out the most damage by being faster than you can effectively dodge it. Imagine Jasper Bat Jr. Hulk phase slowed down by like 30%. Yeah, Monsoon is pretty OP. His most broken attack, hands down, is the Extendo Arm stabbing attack, which will hit you for the first strike, no doubt, and if you don't ninja run away from it, it'll get in another 5 hits before you know what the fuck happened. Then there's his smoke jumping, where he lights off an RP grenade to make a big cloud of fog, and then leaps staff off of you around 8 times. The thing that balances this fight in some form is that during the battle at scripted parts, Monsoon will leap onto the arena border and use his magnetism to throw vehicles at Raiden, which you are granted an obvious blade mode to chop apart, which will grant rations and EMP grenades, his weakness weapon. Unfortunately, trying to hit Monsoon with one of these things is like using a frisbee to knock down Christmas lights, being incredibly inaccurate at best to hit him in his ultimate form. Yes, this part of the fight is what all the pain revolves around. What will make you imagine hammering nails into your controller and throw the TV out the frickin' window. What dominates the fight and what is assuredly gonna kick your ass up and down the battlefield. See, Monsoon's main ability is his magnetism, and his body has been transformed to make using his powers to the most fatally possible. When Monsoon goes into his magnetized stance, his body is able to feint through 99% of your attacks, and he's able to rush a kick at you and then prepare a multiple stabbing attack afterwards, leading to a huge loss of life. And this stance also breaks the cardinal sin of boss battles: random number generators. Compared to Monsoon, the boss's fight's random number generator wasn't broken. Like I said, he's able to just refuse 99% of your strikes even in blade mode. So this just leads to the player either getting lucky with an EMP grenade or with a sliding tackle into Monsoon, and then you can attack Monsoon's discarded head for about 1% of health. He switches into regular stance and the fight can continue. So for being painfully and unfairly difficult in almost all concepts, leading to the requirement of infinite blade mode and literally throwing about 10 rashes into the arena during, Monsoon can hang up a 4 Triforces for this one. Story. Fortunately for Monsoon, the story that happened around this fight can actually save it. Not Monsoon himself, because he's a blank boss out of nowhere with a slightly interesting personality. See, about 5 minutes before this battle, Jetstream Sam began talking military philosophy with Raiden and revealed the suppressed thoughts of the people he's been killing, who took the job for very sympathetic reasons. This was their only skill, they had families, they didn't know what they were going to be doing specifically, etc., which adds up to working for World Marshal as their only option. This happens throughout another generic ambush, and it actually starts getting to Raiden. The connecting bit afterwards actually shows that he's emotionally devastated with him clutching his head badly enough to kill his walking speed, and he can't attack. This leads up to meeting Jetstream Sam and Monsoon, who continue the philosophy from before, who questioned Raiden's old commitment to the defense of the weak and his path of justice. This realization transforms Raiden after Doctor shuts off his pain inhibitors that somehow drives his power up, causing him to brutally murder the 3 strikers before the battle. Why did this realization save this fight? Because it's a genuine string of character development, the blurred lines, the enemy sympathy, and the effect on actual gameplay made me as a player actually get hit in the feels. I'm serious, because this bit had given me as a player genuine emotional connection to the situation, making Raiden's transformation into Jack the Ripper an incredibly heavy story blow. The story of this fight's happening was so good, I'd give it a perfect score if we were fighting Jetstream Sam, but instead we're fighting the person who jumped into the plot out of nowhere to turn Raiden off the path of justice, Monsoon. So in that case, I'll give it an 8 1/3 Triforces. Fun. This fight wasn't fun. Marauder was fun. Monsoon wasn't. The Fury was fun. The boss wasn't. It falls for the exact same reason the boss did. When you tie the combat mechanics to a random number generator, you end up with a fight that is going to fail 90% of the time because victory relies on chance. In MGS3, you are grappling with an enemy you can only deal damage to if the system decided that you hit first, since you hit almost simultaneously in that game, and here, since Monsoon is so deadly in magnet mode, if you don't hit him quickly, he'll take 2 rashes before his whirlwind attack just gives you the opening. Both situations are incredibly unfair and puts this fight at gimmick difficulty. It probably would have been fine if Jack the Ripper's powers manifested themselves into something useful, but the fact that Monsoon hits in 3 seconds makes having infinite blade mode pretty useless, and half the time only makes you a huge target for the side-wielding Magnet Man. One last thing is that Monsoon's character design is probably the best in the game so far, because his entire body is segmented into giblets held together only by his abilities. Even more striking than Mistral, with an even better reason. However, do you think that's enough? Hell no! So accept your 2 1/3 Triforces and shut up, disembodied head. Monsoon literally jumps into the plot just to finish off Jetstream Sam's points about the philosophy that everyone who's engaged in combat is a person who has a life beyond just being a combatant, and no one's life should be taken lightly. Completely breaking down the game into a dismal introspective of itself was highly impressive. It's just such a shame that Monsoon's fight itself was such a terrible experience. Random combat, rations being required, and hellishly OP moves litter this entire deal, leading to multiple attempts that aren't the player's fault because of bad design choices. Jack the Ripper had powers that don't help in the fucking slightest, and the weakness weapon is about as fiddly and useless as the Hyper Bomb from Mega Man, with its only nicety being its good range. Blank Boss, who's OP and gimmicky as shit, gets a final score of 14 2/3 out of 30, who only got that because he jumped in at the best possible story moment, but by himself, he's a complete shitstorm of bad ideas. Thankfully, without another wind of destruction, the World Marshal HQ is ready for invasion. So until then, I'll leave you with another victory for our gamers and hope that we'll see you at the next fight. Have a good one.